All right, here we go. What's up and welcome to the studio for a brand new 10 questions. And this week we have trance royalty again in the studio. This man has been making music for 25 years already. And he has done it on a lot of aliases. Roger Shah, Sun Lounger, Global Experience. What else do we have?
Oh, we had Black Pearl. Jukebox 80s, which is my synthwave project as well. Yeah, there's a lot. I can't even...
A lot of them.
Yeah, Global Experience was a big one as well. Yeah.
So here in the studio, Roger Shah. How you doing, man? It's good to see you.
I'm good. It's been a while.
It's been a long, long time. So you're here, of course, because you released your album Sunsets and Bonfires under your Sun Lounger alias. And we've asked our listeners online to submit some questions for you. I haven't seen them yet, but I think there's always some spicy ones in there. So I hope you're ready for them.
For sure.
Okay, the first one comes from JP Earzas, 97. Will you ever do another song with Zara Taylor?
For sure. I don't have her on my Sun Lounger album because we are planning to do a live band. So I had to pick like just 1-2 singers.
Yeah, Susie Ledge and Inge Hansen.
Exactly. Yeah. So we have plans to do a tour. That's why she's not on that album. But I think when I'm working on a new Roger Shah album for next year, I will invite her again to work on the track as well.
And maybe produce another tune of the year.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, that's something you can't really plan, right? So you just make music you love and then people decide. And yeah, always for tune of the year, always a bit of luck. Depends on who else is playing, supporting your track as well. You know, I feel I had a few potential ones and then you feel like, I think I was the only one who...
Well, you had 2 already so far.
I had 2, yeah.
Yeah, because you had in 2008, you had, of course, Sun Lounger with Zara, Lost.
Yeah.
And then you had Unbreakable with Susanna and Aline Villa.
Yeah.
That was probably not expected, that second one. At least I didn't expect it because it was a Spanish vocal.
But the fun part is when we finished the track, Fadi told me right away, Roger,
this is tune of the year.
That's going to be tune of... He told me right away.
Really?
Yeah, he told me right away.
Unbelievable.
And I was like, and I felt like it's a Spanish vocal. I'm not sure, So, but he told me right away.
Maybe he asked like an Egyptian fortune teller too. He's like, it's going to be tune of the year. It's going to be tune of the year.
That must have been special magic around the track for sure.
Well, let's hope you're going to have another one like that. Maybe this year or next year.
Yeah,
because there's some stuff on the album that is really, really good.
Thank you. Yeah, we want to work for sure on something new together as well.
Awesome. Ricard Guerra wants to know, which artist would you be looking to collab with in the future? Besides your son here in the studio, Noah.
That's really hard to say. I think we should work on something too. We just
100%?
spoke about it because we know each other. Actually, I met you the first time when you had one of your first days, back in the days when you worked at Armada.
15 years ago.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. Yeah. Actually, I don't really have a plan to say, I really want to work with this artist or that artist. It always comes to me like naturally. And I also don't really have like, let's say on singers a favorite list or something. I don't really have plans with that. It always comes naturally.
How does it normally goes down? Do you get approached? Do you approach people to work with her?
That's also different. Sometimes singers contact me, asking me if I'm up to working on a collab, or also some of the well-known ones I would approach. Or most of the time, I always try to find those new voices for my music and albums. So I search a lot on SoundCloud or whatever, and or even on Spotify. Sometimes when I discover a new band, then I do some research. Who's the singer behind it, and especially with the ones who have just a few plays. So and then I feel like, wow, that's amazing new talent. Then I try to approach them. Then most of them are interested, of course. So
And for Sunsets and Bonfires, you worked a lot with Susie Ledge.
Yeah.
How did you come about working with her?
With her, I think she contacted me 2-3 years ago, and then we worked on a track on FSOE. But we always stayed in touch. And then when I had the idea about Sun Lounger, and I spoke with Inge Hansen about the ideas of doing live guitars, I remember that Susie, when she was sending me a few demos from some of her new songs, she always just played acoustic guitar and showed me her songwriting. And I felt that already sounds so Sun Lounger-ish type of just by her demo. So I asked her if she would be up for it. And I know that she has also live experience on stage, which is always important when you want to build a live band. Yeah. Because sometimes you have amazing studio singers, but the moment you put them on a stage, it's not really working out. True, yeah. And she has a lot of confidence. I knew that about Inger, but for a female singer, Then I had the idea when I spoke with her and Ingrid together. They were both super excited. They even went one time, just two of them, to do some writing session for the album. That's how the 2 duets came out. So this is how it worked out there.
When I was listening to Sunsets and Bonfires, normally when you see a track list and you see the same vocalist, you're gonna be like every song is gonna sound different, but they are so diverse in how they sing.
Yeah,
I think that's big shout out to both of them.
No, it's really amazing.
Yeah. Next question. Soto Chi wants to know what was your inspiration to produce Hillsville Sanctuary, another one of those big tunes.
Actually, the inspiration was being at Hillsville Sanctuary, which is an animals park in Melbourne.
Okay.
Yeah. And at that time, just weeks before I went to Australia tour, I played a show together with Signum. And always had a lot of respect for the guys. And
they created so much amazing classics. Yeah.
Exactly. And I spoke with Ron about we should work on a collab. And I told him, hey, look, I go on a tour. When I sit in the hotel, I might start working on a few ideas. And we bounced ideas back and forth. And when he sent me some stuff as well, I just visited that park. And whenever I work on some music, even you don't have a final title, you have to write in something to save it, right? And sometimes I do stupid things like just checking what's around or a place I've been. This is also a story how I came to my track Body Lotion.
Because you saw a bottle of body lotion,
exactly.
really?
And then I never changed it. That's another fun story, actually. And the Hillsville was the same way. So we just, I just got that feeling of this huge breakdown. And when Ron sent me those breakdowns with the orchestral strings, I just put my choirs on top of it. And then later we removed the strings and just keep that quiet choir. I think this is what made the track so special with this quiet breakdown. And then I just named it Hillsville Sanctuary and we kept it like that.
Body Lotion.
Yeah.
Aga with the next question. Aga Cuera 28. Who's currently your favorite producer?
Wow.
Not saying your son again.
I think again, there's so many amazing producers. On my label, for example, I have a lot of amazing talents like Yellow, for example. He's from Canada. He's working on amazing uplifting stuff, and I already invited him to help me to work on a few uplifting remixes for my Sun Launcher stuff, because sometimes when you work on your own original,
it's hard.
And then you want to make uplifting mix. Sometimes I know directly how I want to do it, but sometimes you feel like, oh, how could I turn this one into? And so sometimes it's nice to have someone with fresh ears, new approach.
Otherwise, you sit there 3 days later, you're like, okay, I didn't progress anything.
Exactly. So Yellow, I would say for sure. Then we have one Russian guy called Sergei Shabanov. He's playing amazing melodies. Every track he's sending to me is really, it's really amazing. So he's for sure underrated. I need to send you a few more tracks of him for sure. Maybe he would deserve an Acel play for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, as we said, there's so much music out there. It's really hard to pick, right?
Next question. From Ufestasia 5566. Where does your love of the Balearic Islands come from? That's a good question.
From going there in vacation, and I always say, once you go to Ibiza, it's a special atmosphere there. It's even hard to explain it. It's a special vibe.
It's almost magical, right?
It is a magic island. And
there you go.
Yeah, exactly. And just the feeling you have there, and the sunsets and the beaches, and then it's a Spanish island as well. So that's why I started to incorporate, for example, Spanish guitars to the music. Like this is how we worked on White Sand, for example. And this is where the love is coming from. And then I just wanted to incorporate that love and that theme of the Magic Island into my music somehow.
When was the first time that you ever went to Ibiza?
Oh, I think...
Because it made such an impression.
I think first time I went there in 1996.
Wow.
Or something like that.
Just when you started making music as well?
Just when I started, yeah. Back in the days. And then always, I think I went there every year.
What if you didn't go there? That would have been so different then. If you didn't catch that vibe, then maybe there wouldn't be no Magic Island. There would not be. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know what I would do now, because originally I started as classical composer. When I started to make music, I worked on orchestral music. I always wanted to make music for movies, just for the fact some of my friends were DJs and realized I have a classic music education, asking me if I could play in some melodies. This is when I got the idea myself. Actually, if they can make records, maybe I should try to go into that direction. This is how I started to discover dance music.
And here we are, 25 years later.
Yeah, still doing it, still enjoying it.
Elena, 69 Luca wants to know, what's your favorite hobby?
As a hobby, I have 2 hobbies. I play tennis and I do bicycle.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all my 2 hobbies I do every week, especially now when we had the long lockdowns. I always went my bicycle. And I also play still tennis tournaments. And I'm also a hitting partner of a young pro tennis player.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a 13 years old girl. And she's already destroying me. Yeah. So, but it's really amazing to see if you play tennis as a hobby yourself. I think I play solid. But if you see how they practice, like on a pro level,
different level,
even on that age, it's the way she's hitting the balls, and I'm one of few hitting partners, and she's practicing 6 hours. So I'm coming in for 1.5, 2, and then I'm destroyed.
Done.
I'm done, and then she keeps on going. But that's really amazing hobby, and I really enjoy it.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
DJ Meridian Official wants to know, what DAW do you use?
I use Logic. Yeah,
ever since the beginning.
Since the beginning. Before that, I used Atari.
Okay, yeah, because everything was hardware back then.
Yeah, everything was hardware. My old studio, I had 2 old studios, looked like 2 spaceships. And now your studio looks like an office.
Now it's basically a laptop. That's it.
Yeah, it's a laptop. The good thing with the laptop is you can take it on tour or in the plane and can produce it. One time I had a long flight to LA, and I almost finished the whole track. And when the captain said we are starting our descent, I'm like, shit!
Can we do another round?
I need like another 30 minutes, and I'm good. Yeah, that happened. So that's a good thing about it, you know.
It's a good thing, but on the other side, one thing that really bothers me with producing on a laptop, dongles. For plugins, like you need to have the iLock, and it's really annoying.
Yeah, you need a lot, but I think the newer ones you can decide if you want to put it on a dongle or you just register.
Cloud register.
Register it on.
But then if you have several setups, then you need to juggle around.
That's
at
true.
least what I have with for example, Waves or the Nexus. Yeah.
So what I usually do is, I have 2 laptops. The one I take on tour for my live shows, and then the little bit bigger one with more power for the studio. And usually when I work on the road, I try to keep like a simple setup where I know there don't need dongles and stuff. And then
you take it into the studio.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Makes sense. Next question. Ale Selland wants to know, can you tell us a story behind your White Sand track?
That's a really amazing story, actually.
About body lotion.
Yeah. So I met Armin, first of all, at the airport in Mallorca. On layover to Ibiza, and gave him a CD, which was my first DJ Shah track at the time with Jen Johnston, which I signed later with Armada. And
beautiful,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I got invited to come over to the office for the record deal, and all the stuff was around ADE time. And I finished a few other remixes for the track Beautiful, and just that week I recorded this new track. And had no name for it, so I just burned it on the same CD. At that time, there was everything on CD.
Yeah,
and I gave it to Armin, and then he passed it along to Michael. And when I was on the way back home after that weekend, I got an email, I think from Armin directly. He said, "Hey, thanks for coming over. Amazing track. There's one question: what is this ID track on that CD?" And I said, I don't know yet. I just finished it yesterday. So he said, "Hey, I really love it. That's so different than anything else. I think come up with a new name because we want to sign it and release it right away. Maybe start with a new alias." And I'm like, okay, give me a day to think about it because that's caught me by surprise.
Yeah.
And what I did is, and it really happened like this. I went into the studio. Whenever I go somewhere, I collect some of the tourist guides and stuff. So I had one of the books from Ibiza. I opened the page, just random. And then I saw a company making an advertisement about selling sun loungers. And this is how I came up with the name Sun Lounger.
No way.
Yeah. And then I just looked through the magazine, and then they described like some of the beaches with white sands and stuff like that. And I felt like, I sent the email and said, hey, what do you think about Sun Launcher for the project? And then White Sand for the title. And then they said, it just sounds like it. So this is how we started with the story of
I didn't know
Sun
this.
Launcher.
That's crazy.
Yeah, this was just...
So you just opened a book randomly? So if so it could
just
have been...
It could be anything else.
So maybe it could have been boat, whatever. It doesn't have the nice appeal to it. But if it was a page later, then...
Yeah, there was a company which just for advertisement about selling sun launchers. And then
That's a good story.
Then I felt sun launchers is really cool.
Yeah.
And then I had also the idea to do a chill out mix. And then Michael actually had the idea to say, when we worked on the whole album later, on another day on the terrace, Michael even had the idea to say, hey, I think we should swap the CDs and make the chill out CD one, because it's such timeless music. People would listen forever. And with the club versions, you never know how styles are changing, whatever. And also that was a well thought, and I really appreciate this idea. And this is really how it still works. I still have amazing streams on all the Sun Launcher albums. And yeah, it's a really funny story. As I said, for me, it always happens naturally. I never blend too much. I just keep my eyes and ears open, and things happen like that.
Unbelievable. That's a very good story. Next one. Gabriel Villa Fernandez wants to know what inspired you to wait for the release of Sun Launcher album until this year? Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah. First of all, a few years back, I decided to focus on one project. And then I felt like, for the fact I'm always playing as Roger Shah, I just want to focus on Roger Shah doing a new artist album, which I did in 2018 with No Boundaries. And then we had great touring, great shows. And that's why I wanted to focus on one thing first. But people kept on asking, hey, what about, whenever I release a track, Roger Shah, whatever, there's always
come on,
question.
man, I just released Roger Shah. What do you want to keep?
Yeah, whenever I release an album or something, the response is, yeah, great, but what about Sun Launcher? And so I felt, okay, now I really have to do it. I finished my album, I start working on a new one. Then I got all the ideas saying, okay, when I start working on a new album and I never really play as a Sun Launcher somewhere, how do I want to take the brand further? That's when I had the idea of doing a live band and keep it small. That's why with the two singers. And then I started working on it, finished it in 2000, I think early 2020. And then I always kept, so I have a really close friendship with Fadi from Ali and Fila. And when he heard already I'm working on a Sun Launcher album now and then, when I saw him, he was always asking, hey, how is it coming along? Can I listen a little bit? And then when I was finished in early 2020, when we were ready to release it, then the whole COVID thing happened. And then we decided, okay, if I want to build a live band around the new album, but there's no touring, doesn't make sense. So maybe let's push it back for another year, hoping things are better.
Because that's what we thought.
Yeah, now things are still like this. But then we thought, okay, now pushing back again, I'm not sure, because already mentioned to a few times that I'm working on the album, and I think people even ask more. And then we said, okay, let's just release it. And the good thing is now people can start listening, hopefully enjoying the album. And then hopefully if things are getting better next year, maybe then when we start touring with Sun Launcher, then people already know the songs and can already sing along.
They can sing along, yeah, exactly.
That's already good too.
All right. The next one, Nadine37 wants to know, what do you love most about Balearic style of trance?
I think, first of all, the Balearic style of trance, I have to explain a bit. For me, this is more a feeling.
Yeah.
It's a feeling of
warmth.
Yeah, exactly. Because sometimes people send me, let's say, a banging, uplifting track and have a breakdown with a guitar and send, oh, look, here's a new Balearic track.
Like,
I'm like, no.
That's not it.
That's not it. So it's really a feeling. It's almost a lifestyle, and which I try to translate into music. And that's what I love about it. It's almost like what I like about the Magic Island and the feeling. It's like the feeling of warmth, summer, good feeling, good vibes. That's the Balearic sound. And then when you combine that feeling with melodic music, I always say melodic music, not trance, because it can be different directions, could be Balearic as well. Yeah, that's the feeling.
Yeah, it's hard to explain.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Well, for me, if you ask me what's Balearic style, I'll just say Roger Shah, Sun Launcher.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to, it's what you say. You have the guitars, you have the warmth, also the percussion, the toms and stuff like that. But that's it.
Yeah.
Well, That's a good definition, I guess. Thank you so much for answering these 10 questions, Roger.
Thanks. My pleasure.
Yeah, and let's not wait another 4 or 5 years for the next one.
No.
But first, we're going to enjoy this one.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much. And make
you.
sure to check out Sunsets and Bonfires, a beautiful album at Stone Launcher. It's out now. Next time, 10 questions is going to be back. If you want to see who is here, make sure to check our socials. See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.